February 21st, 2010. It's the Watt from Pedro show. Sunday here in Pedro. Maybe rain tonight, Brother Matt?
Yeah, a little bit. Sprinkle a little early.
Yeah. Yesterday I went out pedaling early because I thought it was going to come down. But it held off all day. Fireboat 2 was out, and I think it was because of that air raid thing.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's the biggest fireboat in the world now. It's a tractor. And it was in the marina. I was like, what the fuck is it doing? Usually they get the little number 3 or 5 with the little ladders in the front, but this was the big mama. Dad. Yeah. And also another dead fucking pelican.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I got a corner of my eye, and I wouldn't. It's a heartbreak for me.
Yeah, the bird center's pretty packed.
So,
right?
yeah. Dana Point, I have a friend in OC who's been taking care of them. Dana Point, like hundreds.
Why are they dying?
They don't know. Oh, yeah, we are guests here, Brother Matt. Welcome aboard, Flea. Hey. Yeah, but it's a serious thing, this thing with the pelicans.
Yeah, no, what is it?
But they don't exactly know why. A lot of them, the cause of death, starving.
Right.
So they don't know what is up. Also in Portland, where they come down, usually migrate down, the Browns, they're not. They're staying up there.
Right.
They don't understand this behavior. I mean, they really made a bounce back from the 70s. They were really endangered because of the DDT.
Right.
So when they stopped doing that, dumping that in the sea, the shells got hard again. Same with the peregrines and stuff.
All that, like the bacteria is shifting. The chemistry of the ocean is changing, right? Because the ocean is becoming so acidic. It's not alkaline enough. And all the probably the little things they feed on aren't surviving. And they're starving, right?
That might, yeah.
That is heartbreaking.
Big problem with the man building living stuff, gets rid of wetland.
Right.
And there's no filtering when there's a rain.
Right.
And it runs right off. You know surfing, right?
Yeah,
if you go out after rain and sore throat rock.
Yeah, you don't want to go out after rain in the city.
Yeah, one who got staph infection had to have a big chunk of his head removed.
Ugh. A surfer guy?
Yeah.
Is that your surfboard sitting outside on the deck there?
The neighbors. Yeah, mine is.
Is there surfing around here in Pedro?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Lately. Last couple of months has been awesome.
Right.
Yeah, we've got a couple like our big Wednesdays, like every 10 years.
Because...
I've seen up in Malibu, when I was living up in Malibu, I used to see dead seals fairly often, or like dying seals on the beach.
On the beach?
Yeah, that's real, like...
Yeah.
What to do.
Yeah, they're big old things.
Do you know that we got a hospital up where I practice the Angels Gate?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
There's one for marine mammals, and there's one for birds.
They come call them and they come pick them up?
Yeah.
One time there was a sea lion on a buoy and had the net around his mouth and just cutting into his flesh. I told the lifeguards. They called up the people. They came down and got him. Yeah, I don't know what people are thinking, And you hear about the honeybees, too.
Mm-hmm.
You know about honeybees?
No, it's scary.
Big kill.
Really?
They're dropping off. And, parts of the big system start disappearing. Yeah. You know about the frogs, right? No. Big kill off on frogs. Some of these things like honeybees and tree frogs, very sensitive.
Right.
So it's kind of a little, when they bring the canary down in the mine.
Right.
Right? Because you couldn't smell the carbon monoxide, but the canary fell over. Whoa, something's wrong.
Yeah.
This is kind of like this.
Right.
Like, wake up. Something's up.
Yeah.
You're losing your honeybees. You're losing your tree frog, your pelican, your sea lion.
Yeah.
And, meanwhile, we just blindly charge on,
Yeah, man. And you see every time I read stuff about the environment changing, global warming, and the scientists, they've been saying, of course, for years they've been saying, we've got to stop it with the emissions, and we've got to cut down on fossil fuels and everything. And but now they're saying, well, it's like, maybe we'll get it, but it's too late. It's irreversible.
Yeah, everything's
related. Tide's turned too powerfully to be reversed. And
there will be economic thing, and will be lifestyle will be third world, and you hear this claim. I think we need to master a little bit. Brother Matt.
Third world.
Thinking about the third world.
Like the worst thing it ever.
I know, because you just went and visited, and people get by, right?
Yeah, they get by in all
right. They might not have the right electronic toys or whatever, but I wonder about quality of life. What's it about? Is it really about material?
I mean, it varies. It's not a black or white thing. But, I just came back. I just got back from Ethiopia, and my time in Ethiopia, the feeling actually the feeling that I left with
Yeah.
was that Africa is the future, you know? Being there, being in Ethiopia, and after I went to Nigeria last year too with the same group of people.
So this time east, last time west.
Yeah, and though Ethiopia was a lot mellower than Nigeria, a very friendly place. Everywhere you went, people had smile on their face. One time I was walking down the street with this guy, this Ethiopian guy, and he's like, "Man, I gotta take a shit." And I just went and knocked on someone's door, some stranger's door. Use your bathroom? Yes, of course, come right in,
Yeah.
And
Wow.
it's just like that was real indicative of the general vibe there. Like people are just really helping each other out and really sweet and kind and just great. And the music there, man. The
Wow.
music was unbelievable.
I mean, there is some
I
technology,
love
right? People got leashes of cell.
Yeah. They have those.
But
they have those. I mean, it was in a week. It was really hard to gauge. You see, there's a lot of people that are really poor that have nothing that are living in huts and stuff. And then there's people living in big McMansions.
But is it kind of mixed where you're in a hut, but you might still have a dish?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like I saw this one guy, like music. I went to see these guys playing traditional Ethiopian music, and this guy's playing this chorale, which is like a 5-string instrument, basically made out of wood and goat skin, and the string, I don't know what the string is made out of. But he's playing this traditional music, and then he whipped out his cell phone, and he had the chorale, he had a pickup hooked onto it, playing through an amp, and he whipped out the cell phone, started playing it with a cell phone, and getting feedback, and like Hendrixing out on this traditional thing, which was amazing.
So kind of mixtures.
So, yeah, but mixtures. But, I didn't, from what I saw, even when I was in like rural areas and people were living in huts and stuff, they all seemed healthy and happy, and that was, from what I saw, I mean, I know, the famine, people always think of Ethiopia, they just think of famine and poverty, and that famine was going on in the 80s, right? Like
Really bad.
In the early 80s, and we're getting all these images of people starving and stuff, and I think that had a lot to do with because it was a communist country at the time, right? And they really weren't getting any help, especially from the West, And but there's no famine there now. I think they have, there's probably some hunger problems in parts of the country, but in general, people seem to be doing pretty well there,
Yeah.
And I don't know if being third world, whatever that means. I mean,
I just hear this argument like if we try to do something with the climate.
Right.
There's a debate, right? And I've heard positions
Oh,
on one side
but
saying
that we become third world if we stop making the money off the corporate destroying the planet.
we try putting control on greenhouse gases. That means things are more expensive. You have to be spending money on that. You might people are losing jobs. I don't know. I hear this kind of thing, and I'm thinking you're kind of saying like you don't want to live like a lot of people maybe are in the world. Of course, they would like to live better too, right?
Yeah.
But what is better and worse when you get to it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like...
Is it quality of life, like your health?
Yeah, I just think if your spirit is alive and happy and curious and vibrant, that's really what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like making money as much as the next guy. I mean, look at me. I'm in this big corporate rock band, but it's like, that's not what my identity is wrapped up with in terms of, my happiness. And I know I didn't get any happier when I started making bread than I was when I didn't have bread, but I don't know. I don't know. I think it's always like it's kind of human nature on the most part for people to always kind of try to amass stuff and get their scene together,
But also think about the future. If they do poison the deal, too bad. Nothing for the grandchildren.
I don't know.
That thing too, because you have kids, so you think about them, right?
I think about it all the time. I mean, my general thought is fuck the corporations, quit polluting. That's what I always think. But then again, I'm sure I'm hypocritical in a lot of ways too, because I enjoy a lot of the comforts and luxuries that come from unscrupulous behavior on the behalf of many, global environment destroying things. So
like to get down here, you took a car. I drove a car.
I do generally.
In my own town.
Usually, I drive an electric car and I have solar panels at home, but that's also like totally elitist too, because you got to have all this bread to do it.
Oh yeah. Because they haven't made it econo enough.
Yeah, it's not affordable. But anyways, but Ethiopia, man, I just I'm not real. I'm no.
So how'd
I
your
don't
trip
know
come
about-
about?
Oh well, it came
Just
about.
got curious.
I
I should say we start off with John Coltrane playing Underground.
Oh, want to play that first?
No, I already did it.
Oh.
Song of the Underground Railroad from Africa Brass, and then we heard Groovy Seaweed by Wakine, which is kind of a Japanese kind of jam band, but they use traditional percussion and all this.
Cool.
And I'm curious how the trip came about.
Yeah, well, I met this guy, Damon Albarn. I don't know if you know who he is. He was a singer in the band Blur in England. Now he has a group, the Gorillaz, like a cartoon hip-hop group. And also The Good, the Bad, and the Queen with Paul Simonon.
The bass player.
Tony Allen. Fela, the great Afrobeat drummer Tony Allen, Paul Simonon, they made that record, The Good, the Bad, and the Queen.
Fela's land was Nigeria, right?
Yeah, Lagos. And what happened was last year,
Yeah.
I get this email. He started this organization called Africa Express, where the basic concept of it is they get a bunch of musicians together and go to Africa, different countries in Africa, and just cultural exchange. Just hear as much music as possible, jam with as many people as possible, and exchange music.
Yeah.
And I think he was kind of inspired at a certain time. They had when he was growing up, remember they had those Live Aid concerts, and they had one recently. And they had these big Live Aid concerts, and it was all these big, American and European stars, and they're all like saying, help Africa and everything.
Yeah.
But for the average African, they're just like, what is this bullshit? Like, they look at this thing and there's like no Africans involved.
Oh, right.
You look at Live Aid and there's like not one African. You got all these big stars and no Africans. And Damon, he was just like, this is ridiculous, And not that I'm sure that they help some people.
The money's probably some.
I'm sure some of the money, whatever. I don't know the specifics.
I know you could be cynical and say, well, it's kind of self-promoting.
I don't really know. I don't know the specifics of it.
But from an outsider, you could look at, or like these cats you're saying in the land.
I do know you could watch just like 3-day-long concert and you wouldn't see one African. You know what I mean? And it's
but the cause was
and there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good African musicians to choose from. So anyways, he decided, like, that kind of like got under his skin. He decided to start this thing, Africa Express, and I got invited last year to go to Nigeria with them. And being a huge, that's where Fela comes from, and the Afrobeat comes from Lagos, and Fela being one of my all-time favorite musicians. And I was also told that Tony Allen was going, who was like, I think the greatest drummer walking on the planet, and it was an opportunity to go to Nigeria. And always, like, when I was growing up, it was my dream to play with Fela. Like, I once met this guy who showed up in Lagos, Nigeria, went to the Shrine, which was Fela's club there.
Yeah.
Knock, knock, knock. I really want to jam, and, like, played with Fela's band in Nigeria.
Wow. You met his son?
Yeah, Femi. Well, I met him on this trip.
Oh, okay.
And
because he was playing some festivals last year.
Yeah, he plays, he tours, he does his thing, and he's carrying out, he's Afrobeat too. It's different.
Well, his pop brought him.
Yeah, he played
on
with
stage
his
at the gigs and sax.
Yeah, totally. And so, anyways, I went with them to Nigeria, and that was incredible.
So what it was like gigs with Africans.
Yeah, totally. Well, this when I went, it was different. The Nigeria trip and the Ethiopia trip were totally different. When I went to Nigeria, Fela had this club called the Shrine, where he played like 5 nights a week or whatever. He constantly played there. It was packed. It was like the social hub of Lagos, and the wickedest music, you have to
Right.
And it burnt down at one point. There was all kinds of crazy shit happened, there. He
had trouble with the government, I know.
Well, they threw him in jail all the time.
His mother.
They killed his mother. They threw her off the roof of his house. He had the Calacuta Republic, which was a sort of like a compound where he lived with all his peeps and everything. And they just would come in and just beat the hell out of everybody. And
Right.
And anyways, that's a whole story. But that burned down. And Femi, his son Femi Kuti, rebuilt the shrine, the new shrine, and it's a big place. It holds, I think, the size of the Hollywood Palladium or something. It holds a few thousand people. No, it's just like a big airplane hanging with a stage at one end. It's not like fancy like that or anything. But a great place. And so last time I went with a bunch of musicians, and everybody, we all like got in a hotel. There's a backyard in the hotel. And we all set up amps and drums and just like rehearsed with all these Africans, from different people, from Senegal, from Ghana, a lot of Nigerian musicians, and we all just jammed all day long every day and worked out a show. And then we went one night and had a big show at the Shrine, which was insane. Without doubt, the craziest show I've ever played in my life. because a lot of it was just jams and like everyone kind of sectioned off and formed little groups and did little sets, and I ended up like being a complete jam slut, as you know. I am.
With a bunch of sections.
I just jammed with everybody. And like everyone was asking me too. Like every time I turned around, someone was going, "Just do this, singing some bass line in my ear, you know." But when we played for them, it was like when the people liked it, and the Nigerians liked the music, it was like, yeah, everyone crazy. I didn't like it, throwing shit at us, and pissed off, and playing that square groove. Yeah, like scary, you know. And but great, you know. I mean, I met so many like super nice people there. Nigeria and Lagos is considered one of the most scary, dangerous cities in the world, you know. And I did have a feeling of being like, we had like a security guy with a gun and everything.
Yeah.
And I kind of like, it felt like a lot of times, like, I'm kind of glad that dude is here, you know. Which is a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
But like, and it's also just not knowing where you are, or, you know, you're in the city or at some beach or somewhere, and feeling like if I got lost here, I'd really be fucked. It's not like you're just gonna get a taxi back to the hotel. You know what I mean? It was, you know, it's a sprawling place, man. So anyway, that was Nigeria, and then this year they went to Ethiopia. And so I went again. You should go a lot.
No, I loved it.
You should go.
Closest I've played in Africa is Tel Aviv.
Right.
It,
Africa, man.
You know, it's a whole continent.
And
I haven't played any gigs.
Incredible. You go there and it's like another.
Have you played South Africa?
No, never have.
Because there's gigs there.
Yeah. Well, now that I know about the shrine in Lagos, like when the Chili Peppers get up and running again, you know, we're breaking a new guitar player and doing all this stuff and everything. We get up going.
Oh, I didn't know. You know, John was on the show.
Yeah, he told me.
When he came out with that Josh Klinghoffer?
Yeah, Josh is our new guitar player.
Oh, yeah?
He's the guy he made the record with. He brought him on over, and they made this solo album, and he wanted to talk about the record.
Yeah, they've been playing together for years.
And,
so Josh is a new guitar player, huh?
Yeah.
He's a nice cat.
Yeah,
Young guy.
Great. Beautiful guy.
We dug him. He played some synthesizer in the jam.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And because before that, he was doing ones with Omar and Joe Lally.
Right. Oh, yeah. He did.
And so this was the newer thing I didn't know about this collaboration.
Well, he and Josh made like 10 records together or something.
They are, yeah. I know there's a lot of Omar and Joe Lally ones.
Yeah.
Maybe he goes on runs.
He just goes. Yeah.
So he left the band.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he just, I mean, you know, of course, you know, like with any decision like that, it's not like one reason.
Yeah.
You know, and I can't
He didn't talk about any of that.
I can't speak for him, but I know, like, whatever decisions John makes like that is, I mean, his love for music is so intense. And it's really about, like, him nurturing.
And he's still making music, right?
Yeah, always. Yeah,
really passionate.
And his buddy's the new guitarist, so.
Yeah.
Did he, like.
Yeah, well,
advise him?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're great friends, you know, I mean.
Or what did he say? Suggest, hey, Josh can do it.
We know. Well, Josh was on tour with the Chili Peppers too. Like we had a second guitar player for a while. And it was, so it was kind of like this guy who was already in the family, and
okay.
Kinda, you know, it's more important for us to like play with a bro. Than,
right.
You know, yeah, I mean, we learned from that mistake.
Okay. So when the band gets, you're going to go play the Shrine.
Oh yeah, so that's what I was saying. It's a great gig in Nigeria, the Shrine. You know, I mean, it's perfect.
Now, what'd you find in Ethiopia? Clubs.
You know, Ethiopia. So in Nigeria, the whole we got there, the whole thing was geared towards this night of the gig. I mean, every night we'd go out to the Shrine and see like Nigerian hip hop and all kinds of crazy bands and stuff, and it was great. In Ethiopia, we didn't have a gig. It was just about checking out as much music as possible. So we went to clubs every night in Addis Ababa, which is the capital where we stayed mostly. And we went to this town called Harar, which is where Rambo went. You know, our tour Rambo, where he was
running guns.
Yeah, well, he actually like the real scoop on that is he didn't really do it.
Oh,
I talked
to
Ethiopians about it, and they're like,
because it was called Abyssinia then.
Yeah. They're like, he lived there for a long time. He loved it. He fell in love with the country.
Right.
You know? But he went to like someone asked him to help him supply guns once.
Yeah.
And he did it like once and like lost all his money, and it was a failure. And it was just like one shipment of guns. Really, what he did was coffee.
Coffee.
That was his thing. And he made good bread, like importing, exporting coffee.
The music. Because you think of, reggae.
Well, they don't even like reggae in Ethiopia.
That's what I was going to say. This is what I heard from other people.
And Haile Selassie is big over there, man. They love him.
The lion.
They love Haile Selassie.
But the reggae guy's kind of hooked on to him.
Yeah.
But there's really no music connect.
There's no connect at all with the music.
Okay.
There's no kind of reggae in Ethiopia. And it's funny, like, I mean, I've met lots of, like, Jamaican reggae guys
right.
who really, they consider Ethiopia like the motherland. It's
Right.
the last place left standing, and
Sure.
you know, this Ethiopian thing. And if it's the last place left standing, I'm all for it, because it's the greatest place I've ever been. I really felt that. Like, I left that place thinking I just had the greatest time of my life, because that place was so uplifting all the time, man. I mean, granted, it's like, you know, when you go someplace that it's so different and exciting, and it's just so different. Like, everything was so new. Like, just driving, we had a bus, you know, and just driving down the street and looking all constantly, I was amazed. But just when you meet people that are, you know, that, like, have so little compared to what we think that we need.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
And that are so generous and giving and kind, and it's really inspiring.
Yeah, can I take a dump here?
Yeah, exactly, like that.
Or in New York City, I got to plan out my route. You know?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
There's so many things happen there. Like, we went to this. I mean, I met like great artists and intellectuals, and like these ladies that sang. I got a CD of them singing. Maybe we could play it.
Let's play some right now.
Yeah. Well, this is. I bought a bunch of different things, but
let's play this right now.
When we went to Harar, we met these ladies, these three like kind of elderly women, and they sing this kind of traditional Ethiopian music. Just three ladies singing and one playing tambourine. There's a bunch of different. They sang like they'd sing and then stop and sing and then stop, and it's all just on one track. So there's music and then stop, and some of it's great. I mean, it's all great, but there's little gaps.
It's high quality. Is that the name of the song?
No, that was like one of the guys had a real good recording, a mobile recording thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, John Lee Hooker, you know, you see all these dudes.
I saw a great Malian band last night.
Oh yeah.
Tenarawan.
Here?
Yeah, they played Royce Hall last night. Incredible. And these guys are from the northern part of Mali in the Sahara. They're Bedouin. They're nomadic peoples, and they had this rock band. They got really into they heard certain rock music. These guys, they went to train to be in soldiers, and they heard somehow they heard some Hendrix.
Wow.
And they got guitar. Then they went back and made guitars with strings and tin cans and shit, and then ended up getting real guitars and started this band Canada. And since the '70s they started, and they got the heaviest groove, man. Tenarawan.
Wow.
Check them out. They're amazing. Amazing. Last night it was mind blowing.
So they're kind of desert Bedouin, you're saying.
Yeah.
So maybe some Arabic
Yeah.
Spell that.
But rock music though, it's
and mixed with a rock, yeah.
TINARAWEN. And there's an E in there somewhere. It might be like Tianarawan or something like that. If you Google them, you'll find them.
That sounds bitchin'.
And they're amazing, man. Tenarawan.
And what we heard before was the Coat singers.
Yeah, and this band, I can't remember the name of it, but they're one of the best traditional instrument bands.
But they played in this club, the Fendika Club.
Yeah, they played the Fendika Club.
Now, is the Fendika Club?
The club the guy owns the dancer.
And what was his name again?
Blay.
Blay is his last name.
His name wrong.
Not Carla Blay. Not Paul Blay.
And his name is...
The legendary poet, guitarist, soul rebels from the southern Sahara Desert.
Malaku Belay.
Yeah, Malaku, I think.
Malaku. Oh, look, he's got him. Waste to Space Place. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
MELAKUFENDIKA. So that's the name of his club, Fendika.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Melaku Fendika
Yeah.
at the MySpace place. You can go and check out
It's worth going to Ethiopia just to go hang out at this club and have a beer and dance, man.
traditional dance teacher.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah, and he started out by conking out behind the club
Yeah.
as a homeless kid.
Yeah.
A few tip money, ends up buying the club.
Yeah.
Yeah, check that out.
Yeah.
And then ends up exporting it with dance, touring,
Yeah.
putting on gigs in his own place in Addis Ababa.
Yeah, and great music. And the dancing, he's a dance teacher, too.
Right.
And these dancers are just amazing.
And the dancing, again, it's a shoulder thing. Right.
Yeah, the shoulder moves, man.
He gave you a lesson?
Yeah. We had a dance lesson, but it was hard to do the moves. He was really, and then when he gave us a dance lesson, also we had like some of the main instruments that they used there was the chorale, the masinko, and and drums, and then the bass chorale, which I tried to get one at the last second. I had one and couldn't get it. Like,
how many? Is it 5 strings too?
It's 5 strings, and it's it's like real wide at the end, and then it has a piece of wood at the end with like a goat skin
resonator. Yeah.
But they pick it up, and it's a great sounding bass. Like the guy's playing on this, we're going to hear it's bass. It's a guy playing a bass chorale, a guy playing a regular chorale, which is like a guitar kind of 5-string thing,
Right.
And a guy playing a flute.
Do they have pickups on them?
Yeah, these have pickups on them,
Yeah,
and a masinko, which is a 1-string instrument, and
what, bow?
Yeah, with a bow. Yeah, a masinko, and drums. No kick drum. It's just hand drums.
And they were like the house band.
No, I think they just do a gig there. They played at this place like twice a month or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you
and I
can't
saw them
remember
play
their
another
name.
place too, and the name of their band I don't know. But I know that they were slamming.
Yeah.
They
That's
were
what's
good.
important.
Is that what's playing right now?
I'll go get it now.
Oh, I see.
I just want to fill people
Yeah, no,
in.
they were real nice guys, and I jammed with them too. Like we went and jammed with them and kind of ruined their music.
You think?
Well, there were parts that were cool, but also like it was difficult.
The time?
The time and to incorporate into their rhythm, you know what I mean? And to them come across, and it kind of got kind of muddy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there were good moments. There were great moments.
They probably don't have a lot of experience playing with
Different.
the West music.
Yeah, real different rhythms, you know. But they're but so friendly and open. And
What kind of amps? What kind of equipment?
they had like I don't even know. I don't know.
Was it fancy? Was it econo?
Not fancy at
No,
all.
econo.
Totally.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
What about drums? Trap set?
No trap set, hand drums. Hand drums they play with sticks and with hands.
And
But he
microphone?
sits up like a trap set on
Yeah.
a stool and with a few drums, but there was just no kick drum. You know.
Okay. Tambourine? Percussion?
And this band did not have percussion, but oftentimes they would have percussion. Like when we see people just with singers, they would have a percussion.
Okay.
And then we see a lot of little bands where they'd have like a keyboard, like a cheesy electric Casio keyboard, and like a keyboard, and then a bass chorale, or maybe a bass guitar, and a chorale, maybe a masinko. Yeah, and you start off thinking it's kind of like a cheesy sound, and all of a sudden they start getting down, and it's like, these guys are amazing, you know?
They bring it to whatever they're playing.
Yeah, I got
You can
one of
make
those.
that come out of a Casio.
I got one of those too. I got one of those.
Casio Jam?
Yeah, one of those
Ethiopian
Casio bands, and they're really good too.
Now, I can imagine, because the human spirit,
Yeah.
no matter what the fucking device.
Yeah, and plus, like when we went to Harar, we saw a band. It was one of those kind of bands, and it wasn't as good. Like it was kind of like a smaller town. It was like going to see a band like up in Fresno or something. You know what I mean? Like they just weren't as hip, you know. But still, they were great. Like it's like for me, it was still. If that's all I would have seen, I would have been so happy because it's like just the starting point is so different, and the sense of rhythm and the phrasing is so different. And I was just trying to figure it out all the time. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
What about key stuff? Harmonic, melodic?
Well, most of it is modal. These simple changes, but the modes are different. You know, real different scales. A lot of microtonal stuff because on those string instruments there's no frets. You know, so they have just different scales. A lot of quarter tones. And,
Right.
And,
because I think people, U.S. people, closest connection to Africa are the people who came there, but it was a long time ago. So you're thinking blues music, you're not going to really hear that in Africa.
Yeah,
Because the big space between the
I didn't hear anything like that there. I'm sure, you know, there's definitely, you know,
Well,
exchange.
you were talking about the Mali.
Yeah, Mali, there's a little
There's
bit
some
more
tiny
similarity
little-
there, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's like that band Tanara one that I saw last
That had the
night.
Hendrix
I just
thing.
From
loaded
Mali.
some. I just loaded some, so I'll get some in a spin.
Oh yeah,
cycle.
cool. Yeah, because they're like, you know, they heard blues and Hendrix, and like one thing they really liked was Dire Straits. Somewhere they heard Dire Straits, and they really connected with it, and that's like, you know, a big thing for them.
Well, Dire Straits is kind of a blues. Things go around, you know?
Yeah, no, it
Things go
gets, you know, and people hear stuff, you know.
And
It's like,
Jimmy had all kinds of blues in his playing.
Oh.
So Africa comes back to Africa through all this filter.
Fela, you know, Fela, he came to America from Nigeria in the 70s or the late 60s because he wanted to play James Brown,
Right.
R&B, funk, and he lived in Hollywood, and he was getting in on all the funk and R&B scene. But then he realized, I want to go back to Africa. I want to be African. But he brought back this sensibility and created this new African music, the Afrobeat. From getting into...
Right, I heard Jamaica was like that too. They were listening to R&B guys, and that was just their take on it.
Yeah, a lot of doo-wop too, all the smoke.
Right, and it just became... Yeah. So Africa comes back to Africa.
Yeah, it all comes around, man. I was...
But I would like what you had, the first-hand experience, because it's so little we get here.
You got to go.
Of the real deal,
I can't even really explain how it felt for me there, because it felt... It's hard for me to put it into words, but it was so exciting every moment I was there. I felt so full of emotion, I was laughing, tears in my eyes the whole time, I just felt so full of, just the visuals alone, the way people dressed, the old buildings, the old streets, just the setup of everything was amazing.
The dress. Any flannels?
No flannels, man. A lot of those, guys wear those, well, they wear Western clothes too, but a lot of those, what do you call it? It's a long shirt that goes all the way down to your feet.
With
dashiki?
Not a dashiki, but a version of that.
Okay. Tobe?
I think they call
Tobe is like a man's dress or something.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. I can't remember. And women, let's say, lots, headscarves, all pretty colors, purples and oranges and greens. And it's beautiful looking, everyone carrying stuff on their heads, women carrying stuff on their heads. And one time we went to this orphan school. Because one of the problem they have in Ethiopia is people who live out in the country send their kids to go to the city, and these families say, we'll take care of your kids. They just have to do a little work. They work 2 hours a day, whatever, and we'll send them to a good school and take care of them, and they end up making the kids slaves. It's really terrible. And it's a really bad problem. So we met these guys who work for this organization, these Ethiopians, who intercept them. They find out people are doing it to these kids, and they get the kids and take them out of the houses and give them shelter. And we went to a school for these kids, an orphan school. And just a few of us went. Me and Josh went, and this folk singer, and a few other, Nick from the AIS, and a few other people. And we went and played for them. And it was, man, that was I couldn't even, those kids were so cool, and I really, for me, that was such a poignant moment. I stood in a circle, I had a little amp, the amp that I took with me everywhere, and 300 kids around me in a big circle. I stood in the middle of the circle with my amp and just played bass for them. And they were just going crazy. And how I do jumping around, dancing around, soloing, playing grooves, doing my whole Flea thing, Were
they doing the shoulders?
Yeah, because they were laughing a lot, my kind of rhythms, American, funk rhythm and stuff are real strange. I told them before, because I've had experience before, because I went to Haiti a couple of years ago and played for people in Haiti, and they were just kind of what the? You know what I memean? Their rhythms are so different than my sensibility. And I told them before, I said, look, my rhythms are a lot different, and if, you might find them funny, and it's okay if you laugh, because I'm pretty funny anyways, And I played, and they're in hysterics, but they loved it. They were going crazy. They just thought I was, from the moon or something, But in that moment, I really felt like I connected with them, too. It was a beautiful thing for me,
Yeah.
I was playing for those kids, and I really felt like it was really getting to them, it was a great moment. I probably, the best
it was, what do you say, Brother Matt? Transcendent.
It was a transcendent moment. Yeah,
let's play this Fendika band.
Yeah, man.
Okay. Watford Pedro, shall we play the
Fendika band?
The Fendika band. Sorry we don't know the name of the band, but did you meet any cats who run labels that are trying to capture this music?
I didn't.
It's mainly live performed.
I don't know. Well, there's cassettes.
There's
you
cassettes.
can buy cassettes. It's this funny thing in Ethiopia, though, that I ran into a few times. Is you go to buy something.
Yeah.
You go to a store. The guy selling something. You try to buy. Oh no, you can't buy that. It's on your shelf. It's a record store. It's a record. Oh. They do that a lot. This bracelet that I'm wearing, actually, that I bought for my girlfriend. It went in there, and the guy said, I said, how much, And he told me how much money. It doesn't matter what shape, this is gold. It didn't matter what shape it was in, what kind of design was. It's just by the gram. It could be the most intricate design or a clunk of,
It's just the weight of the gold.
The weight of the gold. But as you go in, I go to buy it, and I see the guy tells me how much. Okay, I agree. I take out the amount of money, I put it down. It's no. I can't tell you that. I'm like, what do you mean? You know, he's like, no. And then I had like, you know, a guy I was with, an Ethiopian guy, and he was like, oh, like yelled with him for 5 minutes, and I sold it to me. But it's just like this weird, I don't get it, like what it is. Like I'm just not going to sell it. Like, no. Like, why is it for sale? And why are you telling me how much it is? There's some weird culture
Taunt.
thing.
He's a little taunt.
Yeah.
We're at the end of the first hour. The Watt from Pedro show, February 21st, 2010. Hold tight, hour 2. February 21st, 2010, second hour of Watt from Pedro show.
There's some shoulder moves that someone will do some. So this is that band. This is actually the Fendika Club.
Oh, yeah.
And you'll see, someone will start doing it.
Is it Flea?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a guy playing a chorale up there.
Yeah. Trippy. Wow, look at that dress.
Yeah, she was gorgeous too. Just a little club, you know?
Yeah.
Little shoulder move action.
Yeah.
They do crazy headbanging too. Well, she'll start.
Whoa.
Yep.
That's the bass chorale?
I think that's the regular chorale. So the bass chorale, he's playing it right there. It's like a box.
Yeah.
It goes like that, and the strings going out. Like it's like a harp kind of thing, sort of. You always think they're going to stop, and then they never stop. You know, they kind of break it down for a minute, then a new dancer came out. Like this night, where they had dancers, see the shoulder move.
Oh, yeah.
What's
Yeah, like
weird?
an Elvis
Silk?
shirt?
Yeah. Some kind of cool getup.
Okay, Watt from Pedro show. Flea's got some footage on the
Ethiopian
phone.
dances.
I wish we could show you people over the radio, but you can't really see. But we're watching them dance and do the shoulder offs and the outfits. And
Oh, yeah.
you didn't mention the flute, but the flute
Oh,
was
yeah,
strong.
the flute, too, yeah.
Wow.
I think it's also just what's coming out on this little phone.
Yeah, it picks it
You
up
know,
better.
It wasn't the most significant instrument.
We started out. I played some music from Italy. You know, I was in Italy, Flea,
Oh, cool.
into November and
I
December.
think you were doing a recording there.
That's right, with some musicians there.
What part of Italy?
And let's see, it was a lot of it was in Bologna. It was where we practiced up, but went and recorded up in the north. Played Bologna, Padua, Roma, Torino, Cesena, and Firenze. I ate a lot of good stuff. And I mean, it's a weird kind of trip, but because we were discussing the history with Ethiopia and Italy, very bad. But the cats I was playing with, they wouldn't be in on that old history. They would have probably loved it too.
Yeah.
And it was really great to play with them. And let's see, some of the bands. Sagodi, yeah. These cats, I did a show. Of course, it's in the kitchen. I mean, the guys in the band are cooking.
Yeah.
I had pasta so much up in Yang. And while we're doing the show, they're cooking it. We're shouting. You can hear it. And Sagodi, with this is Simplified Response. And they had some stories touring in the Balkans during the war and stuff. The guys just thought, hey, if I put on a gig, it was in Macedonia. If I put on a gig during the war, maybe people would like say, hey, no to the war.
Right.
And let's get into music.
Right.
So balls out in the... And they came to the border, guy stuck a bazooka in the window. And
Right.
they wanted some heavy metal
Right.
cassette CDs.
Right.
They didn't have any, but okay, you can go.
I'll dedicate a song to you.
So if you're traveling, maybe border guards all over the world, you know, kind of unite under heavy metal. So maybe you want to like sling some, just for some insurance, you know. What a trippy thing. And they went and they did the gig in Cody. And then La Via degli Astronauti. These are some young guys in Napoli. And really young. Yeah, a lot of, I remember first playing in Italy in the early 80s, and a much different scene. It's come around. I wanted to ask you about, because the people in the bands here in Ethiopia, not really young people, right?
These were young people.
Teenagers?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're not teenagers, but
Because I've noticed,
I'd say like early 20s, you know.
I've noticed about young people in a lot of the lands I've been to.
Yeah.
They all are in touch with like skateboarding. There's some like kind of things that are like.
Yeah, I didn't see any skateboarders.
No skateboarders?
I saw a basketball court.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, but like.
But soccer is.
But no punk bands.
No, not.
No Ethiopian
I
punk
doubt that
bands.
there's ever been one. You know, I at one point I went to go see. I was traveling with all these English guys, you know,
Yeah.
and there was a English football game on it they really wanted to see. It was like Chelsea
Soccer.
and soccer. Yeah, soccer. I can't remember some English. Chelsea and somebody, and they're all excited about it. And we got this town hurrah, and I found out that it's playing in this hotel. The game is playing, so we go to this hotel, and in the lobby there's like 100 chairs, and the game playing on like very modest television, but like 100 people all. In the fold-up chairs, sitting there, and everyone is like, has a drink, but everyone's like real calm and composed. Like, you go to games and everyone's like, screaming, and everyone's real cool and like clapping for a good play or not. But, like, everyone was so like mellow and polite about it, but really into the game, like focused on the game, the strategy of the game unfolding. And that was pretty cool.
Just a different take, not the
The hooligans.
I guess also because it was, it was English football. It wasn't African.
And then we heard H.A. Prague by Square Tet. There's a thing over there called jazzcore. Have you heard of that scene? It's kind of like a little. Remember Gone? Greg had that band Gone. It's a little bit like that. Instrumental music, kind of maybe some King Crimson.
Yeah. Gone was like then became the Rollins band. Right?
That's right.
Andrew and Sim and.
That's right. He took those musicians.
Yeah.
That was a weird trip. But they have a thing over there, incredible. This guy, what's his name? Manlio. He plays guitar without a strap. He puts his foot up on the chair, He don't wear a strap.
Right.
I like it. This guy can jam like a motherfucker.
Wow.
He ain't really, he's in Roma, but if you say that I'm from Terracina, he's from a smaller town on the coast, and he's very proud of it. Man, can this cat rip?
Wow.
On a trip he's scared. And usually the trios and the bass player doing kind of funk.
Yeah.
Drummer cobham kind of style. It's trip, but it's got a vibe of a punk thing.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. And that's Square Tet. Do you know Zoo? They're another Roma band, but they use a bass drum and saxophone. Another instrumental thing that you might dig on. And then we heard.
I still don't get what is the jazz core like? What is the kind of music like?
Well, I was kind of explaining it there. It's instrumental. It's very like technical, but it's got a vibe that's kind of wild.
Right.
So
Like
I wouldn't call it like fusion.
But is it like a lot of chord changes and odd time
signatures? A lot of
signatures?
riffs and a lot of switching around in time stuff. I wouldn't call it fusion because it's very intense and emotional.
Right. Yeah.
But
so is good fusion.
But the skills.
Yeah.
But there's something about fusion that's more.
I feel
maybe it's got some closeness to it.
I feel like fusion gets a bad rap.
Well, some fusion. Maybe I'm talking about
some everything. You know what I mean?
Cartoon version.
I mean, like Mahu Vishnu Orchestra. Like I love them.
This is kind of close to that. Did you ever see them?
I never saw them.
I got to see them in Long Beach. It was the Birds of Fire.
Wow, you saw that?
Yeah, I saw it. And that was intense.
I bet.
And yeah, in a way, it was kind of rock and roll.
Right.
I know. When I'm thinking fusion, I'm thinking more of the Return to Forever.
Right.
Is that different than Mahavishnu?
Yeah, a lot different.
I mean, I think there's a reason why there's more than one band, probably.
Right, yeah.
In the idea genre is pretty fucked up, ain't it?
Yeah.
It's almost a marketing man's idea.
Yeah.
So say fusion. That's why I'm scared to say that word, because all of a sudden it puts in people's minds, right?
It comes up as being like this like jack off music, like like musicians showing off without any real emotion or passion or trying to communicate anything outside of their amazing skills, you know. And I feel like it's an unfair rap because you get that in all music, you know.
I think the word kind of came from, because isn't Bitches Brew the first?
Yeah. It's funny. It comes from when it's good. It's jazz guys going into the rock world. When you get rock guys going into the jazz and going fusion that way, it usually doesn't end up being as good. You know? That's what
because there's a Mingus song called "Come Up Jazz Fusion."
Really?
Yeah,
record.
And it's very old. It's like from the early, not very old, but from early 60s. He dates the rock thing.
Right.
But I think he was thinking maybe fusion with Cuban beats and this kind of stuff. Because Diz got into that. And somehow getting the U.S. version of black music in with maybe rootsier black musics. The fusion just means putting things together.
Yeah.
But when we hear that now, right, it just puts pictures in your mind. So.
Little fake plastic palm trees or something with eyes. Palm trees on the stage.
And then we heard "Hank" by the Space Pony. And then one of the two of the musicians I played with, Andrea Belfi, he has a band called Rosalina Mar, and they made a piece for, they got a little kid singing, like Canzone della Tre Vita, which is like a song for 3 lives. And then Stefano Paglia was the guitarist, and he did this India thing, part of his last days. Both these guys came from more, like, they're 20 years younger. They're like that. It's a trip. They come from avant-garde, so more like the dronings kind of thing. Opposite of louder notes, like Mario and Square Tip. Ambient.
Right.
Interesting takes. For me, I'm kind of... I think everybody's got something to teach me. So I'm all ears. And I want to go to Ethiopia. But that was a great experience for me. The record's going to be mixed in 3 weeks, rather than that. Yeah. So this thing now I'm trying to do where you just go somewhere and go do it.
Yeah.
Just make a record, play with these guys, learn from them.
Yeah.
It's not where you're from, it's where you're at. And because they're big life lessons. Maybe it took me to get to middle age to appreciate this, but I'm into that. So I want to play some more music from your Ethiopia trip for you, and then we're going to do the spin cycle. So let's. And the spin cycle is going to have Flea collaborate with you. Okay. So here's something from Flea's trip. People, that was Brother Matt in a spin cycle collaborating with Flea on bass. And some foul up somewhere. We only got like 2 minutes and 40 seconds of like a half-hour jam. Oh man, I don't know. Call it a radio clam, but Mike Watt taking responsibility for that one. I don't know what happened, but to finish up the rest of the second hour, I'm going to play some stuff from Flea's trip from the Fendika Club. Fendika, Fendika. Fendika Club house band. I don't know the name of the song or the name of the band or anything, and but Flea was there and got to witness this, captured it on a machine, so we'll share it here. Again, my apologies. That was some smoking bass. Yeah. Damn. Man, that's some good stuff. Righteous. Thank you, Flea, for bringing that from Ethiopia to share with us. Again, people, I apologize for being such a shitty pewter operator, dealing with running a radio show capturing, or failing to capture Brother Matt in a spin cycle. Collaborate with Flea on bass, all but 2 minutes and 40-something seconds. But we heard the Vendica Club house band there. And, February 21st, 2010, second hour of the Watt from Pedro show. Hold tight for hour 3. Sorry again, Flea, Brother Matt, all you folks.
Cool spot, like just 5 blocks over, there was like a little hidden place. But it had too many leaks. That was the ceiling. That colorful picture on the top. That was the ceiling because they didn't have enough pots and pans anymore. Really? It leaked so bad. So
it's February 21st, 2010. Third hour of the Watt from Pedro show. Watt from Pedro show. Start off the third hour with Serbo-Croatian, not so good. Prijatelja sa mastom by Disciplina Kishman. I was telling Flea.
Dobro.
Yeah. Coach is quite a bass player. This guy is wild, and I had the honor of meeting him when I was last in Belgrade last summer. Or summer before now. A year and a half ago.
Yeah, time's flying.
And long history, big culture there. This was the version of the band he had with Croatian guys on the horns and him on bass and another Serb guy on drums. They actually tried to go to England because, it got kind of heavy, right, the war. And man, they got hosed out. You're not going to do gigs.
Oh, man.
It was fucked. So a few years of that, he went back to Serbia. The war was over. So music's just such a great thing. And then these so-called important issues, fucking bullshit, gets in the way always. And then we heard a band from England called Beard, and a song called Bloated. And that's trippy stuff. And from Japan, Boris. You know Boris?
I've heard of Boris, but I don't really know Boris.
And Furry. Fleet, we're kind of going backwards because we started the show off with you talking about something that just happened last week, but I'd like you to talk about your journey in music and how did it start.
Well, it's interesting that you asked me that because I've been thinking about that lately and talking to people about it. Not so much about my particular journey, which I'm very ready to talk about, but I have this music school, Silver Lake Conservatory of Music, and I started with some friends in Silver Lake, and a lot of times we get calls up at the school. We'll get, we have like 700 kids in there now. So,
wow.
But we get a lot of calls from people, and they say like, well, my grandson, he's really showing an aptitude to music, and we think he should take lessons. It's like, great. But I feel like I always want to say, every kid has an aptitude for music. I don't believe, it's just like you could be born into it. It's just like, I just happened to, when I was a kid, when I was 8 years old, my mom divorced my dad and remarried a guy who was a jazz musician. Because she started, she hooked up with this guy. And he's a jazz musician, so all of a sudden there was music around me all the time. I went from a real square house. My real dad worked for the government, for the Australian government. And it was a real square, no music, no art. It was like, he went to work every day with a briefcase, came home, we had dinner, It was real cut and dry,
So it's a contrast.
And so my mom remarries this guy, and he's a jazz musician. And all of a sudden there's like jams at the house. And I come home from school, and these guys are there, like, playing Charlie Parker songs, saxophones and drums and basses and jazz going on. And upright bass,
He was a bass player,
going for it. He's a bass player. And it blew my mind. I was like, holy cow. I mean, it was literally like, if you would right now like turn into a mouse, you know what I mean, or some magical be invisible or something, that would be no more magical than what that seemed to me when I heard that when I was a kid. Like these guys just blowing and sucking and hitting on these things and making this music. I couldn't believe that they could do it, and I was like, well, I'll give this a whirl, And then I started playing trumpet when I was a kid and wanted to be a jazz trumpet player. And but I'll go on with that. My point is being, I just happened to be around and be exposed to it and be in a situation where I could nurture something that was amazing, clearly amazing to anybody. You know what I mean?
Right.
And because I remember I had one other experience when I was a kid, much younger. When I was living in New York, I was like 6 years old or something.
Yeah.
I was walking down the street, and in the alley behind my house, there were these kids, and they all had like trash can lids and brooms and all this stuff, but they had a hidden radio somewhere playing music, like rock music, and they were playing it. Miming it, but I thought they were really doing it, and I was like, what's the trick? What's the fucking trick? How do you do it? Because I thought they were really making the music. They had the hidden radio, and they were tricking me, and they were succeeding, But then when I saw these guys actually doing it, it was kind of the next step. Like, hold on, because then I was really making a connection between the blowing on the saxophone, the sound coming out, the hitting the drum, the different sounds, toms, the cymbals, and the fact that they all had this language where they could communicate, and there was no, they weren't reading music. They had no plan. They were just playing jazz, And so that was so exciting for me. And then my stepdad, he said, well, what instrument do you want to play? And I said, oh, I like Louis Armstrong. I like to play the trumpet,
Okay.
And so I started playing trumpet.
It was Louis Armstrong.
It was Louis Armstrong, yeah. It really blew my mind, And I started playing trumpet and started, for a little kid, I was doing pretty good and playing in the school band. I went to L.A. public schools.
Right.
I played at Bancroft Junior High School. I played at Fairfax High School.
Yeah.
I played in the band, the orchestra, the jazz band, the
musical
production band, the marching band. But the Fairfax High marching band, we didn't have... We were the only school of all the football games. We had no uniforms. All of the schools had big hats and the epaulets. Sure. We didn't have the funding.
Ours are black and gold, right?
We just had a T-shirt that said Fairfax Band, and we also just we had no moves. We walked out into a clump in the center of the field and rocked some jumps. But we were pretty good though. Musically, I thought we were pretty good. We played a lot of we had Stevie Wonder songs. We had a good band leader, who arranged the stuff for us. And
I'd rather have good music than good uniforms.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. I loved it. I must admit there was a lot of pot smoking going on, that time. And so I played in the school music, and I just wanted to be a jazz trumpet player, because I was brought up on the jazz, and also by my stepdad, it was kind of that elitist jazz thing where, he frowned upon rock music and pop music and stuff, big time. It was
some technique.
Yeah, get some technique, and that music is all about haircuts and making money, and there's a point.
Band uniforms.
Yeah, it's a point.
Yeah, no, totally.
Even though as I learned there, when I discovered punk rock, I found out to me that there was as much validity in a one out of tune chord as a Coltrane solo. The intention. Yeah, the intention from which it's played.
The emotion, the heart.
The motivation.
That's hard. That's something I think you have to just learn.
Yeah, you really do.
Can tell you. You have to learn.
The germs were the thing for me. That really. Yeah. But that's kind of getting ahead of myself so I played in the high school band, and and then around that time I met Hillel, who was my friend. I was just running down the street one day. Me and Anthony, we were best friends and real troublemakers and stuff. And we were running down the street one day hitchhiking, and we saw Hillel drive by at a car. We were just 16. He's the only one who had a car. And we saw him. We didn't really kind of knew him from school. Didn't really know him, but we were we know that dude. Hey! And he gave us a ride. And then we started becoming friends, and he was playing guitar and playing in a rock band called Anthem in our high school. And it was kind of prog metal-y, kind of, I don't know, they liked Rush and stuff like that, and Queen and, Zeppelin and after we became friends, he had this rock band, and he said, well, he wasn't digging the bass player. And he said, why don't you learn to play the bass, And I was like, okay. And 2 weeks later, I was on stage at Gazzari's Battle of the Bands. Playing bass.
After all the time was trumpet.
Yeah. I'd literally 2 weeks after
you always had the bass since you were 8 in your life.
But the upright and
it's much different.
Much different instrument, So, and then I was, next thing you know,
Did you ever grab your stepdad's bass?
I think I might have. It was kind of off limits, Yeah.
You have a good one, huh?
Yeah, I think he had a good one, and it was just kind of, our relationship was kind of antagonistic, He was kind of
He
wild.
wanted you to play trumpet.
Yeah. Oh, no, he was supportive. It was just, I was a teenage kid and out of control. And
he touching the bass.
Yeah, don't touch the bass. Don't touch the records. Don't touch the bass. Don't touch.
Oh, he must have had some cool records.
Great jazz records, And I was lucky because of him. I was raised around so much great music.
Yeah.
So much great jazz. So much just.
And it all added up to Gazzari's.
Yeah, it ended up with me on Gazzari's.
Hillel.
After playing bass for 2 weeks, I met Hillel, and I was down, just kind of knowing the frets,
Yeah.
And then I just got into being in a rock band, and Anthony, at a certain point, we changed our name to What Is This, and we started playing, graduated high school, and started playing club. Alan, yeah. Yeah, now he was Alan Mashulsky, and he was in, Anthem
That's
too.
right.
It was him and Jack.
Anthem also?
Yeah, it was Alan, Hillel, Jack Irons. Jack and Hillel and Jack both ended up starting with Chili Peppers.
That's right.
But so What Is This? We just played all the clubs around, Madame Hong Kong Cafe, El Señorial Club, the Vex.
That was the connection.
Everywhere we could play.
But the difference is Anthony.
Yeah. And then Anthony used to introduce us. He was our friend. Anthony wanted to be an actor. And he never had any aspirations to be a musician or in a band at all. And then we had our band and we would play around and we did okay. We were happy, but we weren't
But you were digging the bass,
loving the bass. I had a lot of fun
After
playing.
a while,
Oh yeah, right away. I loved
right
it.
away,
Right
okay.
away, and right away.
Then let go of the trumpet.
I kind of let go of it at that time. I mean, I still played it, but I got I became a bass player in a rock band. That became my thing, And I just wanted to be as good as I could be,
Yeah.
But I was so, we came up in such a drug culture, and we were pretty real, just kind of out of control in that way, but just loved music, and I think all the way through, music has just been my savior, like when I was a kid, my stepdad, he had a real bad drug problem and stuff, and my house was very a volatile place, and I was basically, when I was 12, 13 years old, I was out in the street till 4 a.m, I was just gone.
Didn't want to be home.
Yeah. And I was just, that's just how it went,
So music gave you good focus.
But music gave me, in school.
Lifeline.
In school, it was I loved playing in the marching band and playing in the band and all that stuff. And it gave me a reason to go to school. And it gave me something to do. It was I practiced, I liked my instrument, I liked playing, I aspired to be good.
Were you writing songs?
Not really. No, not really.
But it still was kind of a form of expression.
It was a big form of expression. And it was just a social world, and it was a discipline. It was something to believe in. It gave me hope to do something, And then when I started playing bass and being in a rock band, then there was the whole, rock band fantasy,
Did you go to rock gigs?
Yeah,
Just being in that house.
Oh yeah, no, well,
not
not until just at the end of high school.
Okay.
Me and Anthony started going. We'd go up to Starwood all the time, Starwood and Troubadour.
So you didn't really do the arena rock.
No, I didn't. Well, the first rock show I ever saw was Arena Rock. It was the first rock show I ever saw. I went to UCLA and I saw UFO with Pat Travers Band and Blue Oyster Cult. Yeah. That was the first one
that
ever.
That would kind of qualify.
Yeah. And that was just I had some goofy friends
was it
who were...
Pavilion?
Yeah. I had some goofy friends who were into rock music and they took me, But I wasn't... And I was kind of cool, but I was kind of...
I saw there? It was Bob Marley.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
so
amazing.
that's my favorite Poly Pavilion.
Wow.
But the whole idea of being so far away.
Yeah.
The club was so much different, huh? When you and Anthony started going.
Yeah. When we started going, I'd see bands, and it was when I started playing bass in a band. Was when I started going.
You could identify.
Yeah, and initially I was scared of punk rock. I heard music that I liked, but I went to go
Was there some guys at school with the first ones?
There were some. Tracy Marshak, who was in Red Cross. She went to Fairfax High.
So were they kind of the scary people?
And no. There were very few at Fairfax High.
Yeah, that's
I graduated class of '80. There was Tracy Marshak. There was a couple, and everyone made fun of her. And I know for sure I thought she was cool. I thought because I was outcast anyway. Everyone called me fag. I had no friends. Yeah, I was a real outcast, and I just thought she's bold. I thought she was cool, But the first punk rock show, I went to go see Black Flag at the Starwood, and it was so violent, man. I mean, literally, it was like ambulance just rolling people away. Like, I just saw, like, guys, like 10 guys stomping someone's face in, and all night long, over and over, and it really sickened me. Like, I hated it. I was like, these people are fucking idiots. I don't want to have anything to do with it. And I really didn't. I was like, anything that, like, beats people up because of their haircut is not for me. You know what I mean? It was like, right in, it was like, I love music, you know, and I was open to the music, but the violence just bummed me out. And it was a little while after that I what kind of happened to me, like, getting into punk rock is I was not getting along with the What Is This Guy so well, and I went to one night I took acid, and I went to the Club Lingerie and I saw Fear play, and I thought it was amazing, you know, like just like the dance of the fast hands and the bam 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 bam
fighting at the lingerie.
Yeah, and it wasn't, and I was just on acid, and I was just like checking out the music and getting really into it.
Oh no, their stuff was like Beethoven in a weird way.
So and they were like good musicians like Spit and Philo and stuff.
The thing they threw in their songs was intense.
Yeah, and for me, like liking like all that like prog rock and stuff and Hendrix, like I was real attracted to being to like the virtuoso thing of rock music.
Yeah, sure.
And I saw them and they were real good players, and I was like on acid. And anyways, I loved it. The next day, I was like, I saw this band, they were great. And even though I had seen punk rock bands I really liked, I saw X, I really loved X. But the next, like, literally, I saw Fear, like 3 days later, I see an ad in the paper. Fear looking for a new bass player. I was like, hello? And I went down there and they hired me.
Because you probably saw Durf scratch.
Yeah, I saw it with Durf, yeah.
Probably the last gig.
One of the last, I'm sure, because, yeah, the next week, in the LA Weekly, it said, wants a new bass player, and I went down there and they hired me, you know. And
my first Fender P bass I bought from Durf scratch.
Right, okay.
He was selling real estate or something in Santa
Really?
Monica. Yeah.
Wow.
It was an ad to recycler. I didn't know.
Right.
You know, and
wow.
I saw him play and I go, I know where I got that.
I thought Durf was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they were a great band. Like that Fear the record, I think is a great record, you know.
Recorded kind of funny, but I know them songs from the gigs and they just slayed me.
Yeah.
Away, that band.
Yeah.
It was so weird kind of classical music in a strange way.
Yeah.
Not so much rock and roll backbeat. It was like this kind of.
Yeah, well, like really cool, like dissonant chord movement and stuff. And, and you know.
Very dramatic.
Yeah, and Lee was really a little charismatic, you know.
Yeah. So you joined the band.
And so I joined the band, and that just opened up. And it was kind of weird too, because they were a lot older than me. Yeah. I was like 18 or 19, and they were all in their 30s, you know.
Yeah, right.
And I joined the band, and you know, I was real into it. But the thing that kind of happened was, I remember one night I was like out with them at some party, and I heard the Germs. And I was like, what is that? Like, it really...
Were they playing? Or
no. I never saw them play. I tried to see them once play at the last show at the Starwood.
Wow. And
I couldn't get in. Me and Anthony used to go there and get into Starwood, but I couldn't get in. But anyways, I heard that, I was like... And they were putting it down. They're like, oh, they don't know how to play. You know, and I didn't want to be cool like with them. They were like my new bros. I was like, oh, yeah, they're no good. But then what happened, then like the week after... This all happened so quick. And then like... A week after that, I went to Lee's house for dinner, and I met Penelope Spheris was there. And she asked me to be in her movie, Suburbia. She was making this movie about, like, punk rock kids living in a squat. And she said to be in a movie, and I was like, a movie? Whoa, I couldn't believe it. You know, I was like, great, I'll be in it. And then from then, when I met her, then I met all these, like, punk rock kids who were all into, like, all the different hardcore punk rock bands and stuff. And that's what really, like... And I made friends with all these kids, and they turned me on to all this music. That's when I found out about the Minutemen, you know. That's when I found out about, like, all the local bands, you know. And that was really cool, like, all the underground bands. I used to like going down, like, the Brave Dog and Al's Bar. And, like, I was more attracted mostly to the, like, kind of arty bands, you know. Yeah. And it was just, you know, it was just a whole new world. And I go to the Café de Grande all the time, all the Hollywood punk rock clubs, and... It was kind of like the first time in my life, really, that I felt like I belonged to something. You know, like I could go out to these clubs every night and there'd be all these kids. And I was always, like, all my life, I was a real loner before that. You know, really, like, I was just always to myself. Or I'd have, like, one friend, or, you know. But when I all of a sudden, I felt like I belonged as, like, a community of people. And it was really, I really liked that a lot. And then right around that time... and that was going on, like, real into it, like, 81, 82. Anthony went and saw Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. They came out, you know, they had that big hit, The Message, and they played, and he went to see him, and he came back, and he was like, I'm going to be a rapper! because he knew he wanted to be a man, but he couldn't sing. But I'm going to be a rapper, you know. And
so you go back to the other guys.
Yeah, and so and then you know, and at that point they kind of forgive me for leaving him and joining Fear, and then
you left Fear.
Yeah. Well, not I first I was still in Fear.
Both.
I was still in Fear, and then Anthony wanted to be a rapper, and so we started with Chili Peppers, and he was like, okay, well you rap and we'll play funk grooves.
Yeah, right. But you're doing both bands.
Yeah, I'm doing both, and then and also like then Fear started going in this real kind of metal direction, like wanting to play like hard rock metal, and I really wasn't into it. I just wasn't feeling it at all. And I remember like sitting there like trying to build up the nerve to call up Lee and quit, because I was really like the Chili Peppers. All of a sudden, I really felt home, like the first time, and we were just going around playing clubs, and literally, I swear to God, I'm sitting by the phone, going, okay, I gotta call him. I'm just gonna call him. I'm gonna tell him. I wasn't scared of him. You know, I was intimidated by him. You know, yeah. And I was, I was older, and it was real nice to me. Like, kind of took me into his wing. It was almost like a father figure kind of. Yeah. And I'm sitting there trying to build up the nerve to call him, and the phone rings, and it's him firing me for being in the Chili Peppers and all that. And
wow.
Yeah. And it was like I was so happy. I was so happy. I'm off the hook. Oh, okay. He was like, well, this is hard to say, and I was like, okay, yep, okay, see ya. I was so happy, you know. And then I just went for the Chili Peppers, you know, and when I started the band, or when we started the band,
that's when you start writing songs.
Yeah, really. Like I tried a little bit with Fear, but it wasn't until the Chili Peppers where I started.
Right.
And I had no designs, and as you know, like in that time, at least in my world, I had no plans to ever make money or anything like that. We just wanted to do something that was unique and cool, and go out and play clubs. They'd let us play. You know. We got to open for the Bad Brains. We got to open for the Minutemen. Yeah. We got, you know...
The open for Gang of Four was one of the best gigs ever.
Yeah, I saw Gang of Four. Huge influence. That was before. Great. That was a real big influence on us, Gang of Four. We saw them play and
saw us play at the Cuckoo's Nest.
Wow, Gang of Four.
Boone, there was like 9 people.
Wow.
And they gave it.
Yeah, man.
Now some people, if there's not enough,
they
don't play hard.
Yeah.
They went for it.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. And it was trippy how big they put the bass in the band.
Yeah, and great bass lines. And just that real...
For us, that we knew of this other England band called the Pop Group. It reminded us of that.
Yeah.
But we never got to see the Pop Group.
Yeah.
They never played here. But we did see those guys.
Yeah.
And, you know, the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah.
They didn't care, man. They went for it.
Yeah, cool.
You know? That was...
No, that must have been in their first record, I guess, right?
It was.
Yeah, well, now I feel like it's like people start bands, and it's like the way the world is now. They start bands like, let's get a lawyer and an agent and a, you know, this and a that, and be famous, you know. And I like back then it was just like I wanted to make my dream was just to not have to have a job, because I always had full-time jobs this whole time too. You know, I worked in an animal hospital, I worked liquor store, I worked photographer's assistant, whatever job I could get. And not fancy photographers, just like for the school yearbook pictures, you know. So it was just, you know, and I mean,
you wanted to make music your job.
Yeah, I wanted to make music my job, and it got like the Chili Peppers, you know, it happened pretty quickly, you know. We started making enough money, like to I could pay rent, you know, I could pay rent and eat, and it was amazing, you know, and
you know, Hill House says play bass.
Yeah.
Did you like check out other? Did you like investigate when you were listening to records while you were on the trumpet?
Was it being had I been thinking about bass before?
Or when
not really.
Now it comes to you.
Yeah.
Now it's in your hands. Hey.
Well, then
that guy might have been doing something interesting there. Was there any guys?
Yeah.
Records, I'm thinking.
You know,
early on.
Well, I was real big on Led Zeppelin.
So you like
I was real big on Led Zeppelin. I love John Paul Jones. I still do. And like, there's one thing like when I got in like the punk rock scene and stuff, and all these bands you weren't supposed to like.
Yeah.
I never bowed to that. I was like, fuck that. I love Zeppelin. Like, I never towed the punk rock line. I was never cool like that. I couldn't not like something I liked. You know, like it's always been that way with me. Like I never, like everything that I've ever liked, I still like. Nothing has ever gone away.
The Peppers used to do some cool Led Zeppelin sets, huh?
What's that?
I saw you guys do a couple of cool Led Zeppelin sets back in the day. That was great.
Yeah, I you know. Yeah,
Whole sets of Led Zeppelin?
I don't know about that.
A few songs in a row.
Yeah, I guess so. I can't remember Chili Peppers ever doing a Zeppelin cover, but probably just jamming around.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
You guys were just. It was like at the end of the show, just having fun. I think when the socks were on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, a big thing for us too, like always from the beginning, and even like in What Is This, was improvising. It was such a big part of our thing. Like we didn't even play. We improvised and just jammed more than we played songs. And we didn't really. I don't think that like we really understood the songwriting thing that well. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Like, and even with the Chili Peppers, it was just grooves.
Yeah.
And Anthony would make up raps over the grooves.
Right.
I mean, you saw us early on. It was just,
yeah.
We just wanted to make grooves that we thought were real unique and wild. And
But that was big with bass.
oh yeah, well, it was great for
So
bass.
you must have been listening. Did all those lines come to you, or were you listening to Anthony turned you on to some records?
Yeah, well, we all just listened to
I think that
everything.
was Sugar Hill people.
Yeah, Sugar Hill.
So maybe
Yeah.
Mr. Doug Wimbish.
Yeah, that we used to listen to that. Yeah, Doug Wimbish, and I was real big on Jaco Pastorius. And I didn't get into like I knew the popular P-Funk stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like from when I was high school, I liked P-Funk. Like I knew Mothership and One Nation Under a Groove and stuff. And it wasn't until the Chili Peppers were like well going and stuff until I really discovered the Funkadelic and all that.
Okay.
All that,
Billy Bass.
Yeah, Billy Bass, awesome. I saw him play a couple of years ago, and he's just incredible. That guy.
He started young in that band too.
Yeah, they were real young.
15 or 16.
First Funkadelic record, they're in high school, man. Yeah, and that's amazing, Bernie Worrell was like, they were great musicians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And rocking.
Rocking.
Hard. When this weird kind of line, I mean, for bass players, it's ridiculous for people to say,
Yeah.
that funk music isn't rock music.
Oh, yeah.
Never got all like torn away. Maybe because the guitar got elevated.
Yeah, never for me,
Yeah, me either.
Like funk has always been such a big part of my listening.
With real rockin' stuff, the bass is strong, I still think.
Oh, yeah, man.
I know maybe you could hear it better at the arenas.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's something about being a quote support guy.
Yeah.
Rock is really rhythmic music, so you need support.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
They did it to drummers too, though.
Yeah, I always felt like when I started playing the bass, I definitely wanted, like when I would see rock bands when I was in high school, I remember thinking, well, if I ever play in a rock band, I'm going fucking crazy. Like I am not like I just like this seems like because I was just like the whole thing seems like the most exciting parts are when guys go crazy. Yeah. So I'm just gonna go crazy the whole time, and that was my plan. And when I got him one, it was just it's just it made sense to me, And
when guys were playing the clubs and stuff.
Yeah.
You're playing with bands. You're seeing the guys play.
Yeah.
Cats.
Yeah,
That's
guys I
different
love
than a
rock.
record, huh?
Yeah, well, I loved the Minutemen, a lot. I loved you guys a lot, and you're playing so much, And when Double Nickels came out, I was just like leveled. I listened to it just over and over and over and over again. Norwood, yeah, Norwood was great, and there were other really good bands. Band I used to like was the Suburban Lawns.
I think his name is Bill.
Yeah, Billy. Yeah, and there was this band that I really loved who didn't have a bass player called Neighbors' Voices. There were these French guys, and they were like, it was real like arty, trippy, wild, odd grooves, and I met those guys and befriended them.
I think they played the left hand on the synthesizer.
Yeah,
that was the bass.
I became friends with those guys, and that drummer Joel, like we used to play together a lot.
My idea of that, because I come from a punk before hardcore.
So
it was wild. I mean, sometimes, you would say, on Led Zeppelin, but that was only to get enough nerve to try something on your own.
Right, totally.
Music should be music. And whenever there's a cool and a party line,
So any party line I go away from. Like, even, like, I used to play with those Fishbone guys.
Anarchy.
The what?
The slogan was anarchy.
Yeah.
Look at all these narrow...
Yeah, well, you'd see, like, I remember, like, I'd go to the Starwood and I'd see some guy who was, like, the year before, like, we were on a backpacking trip, and he was, like, had feathered hair and a Lacoste shirt, and his favorite band was Journey. Then I go to the Star and I see him. He's got an Anarchy shirt and his big boots, and he's like
yeah.
You know what? You change completely. You know,
but you have simple rules, like you only have to listen to the right bands. You
Yeah.
can see how that might work for
no, totally too. And as time goes on, it's like, you know, I learn, you know, restraint is great, and like, you know, restraint in like listening and stuff and like learning stuff. Sometimes you get really into certain things, and it's a great learning process.
Things
you know,
get very social, so like we'll let the people in that don't like the Led Zeppelin.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that kind of haircut. And
Yeah,
you
yeah,
see how
yeah.
humans do this.
yeah. I
Even
get
a
it.
movement that was supposed to be about chaos and really
Yeah, yeah.
wild stuff.
Yeah, and I get it too, and like,
Nail.
and like when I became like good friends with like the Denny brothers and stuff, and like
Oh, the weirdo guys.
yeah, the weirdos, and like I played with John and Dix a lot, and like, and I love those guys because I like they're
from the old
they were like
school.
totally punk rock, but they didn't like, for them they didn't care about any of that shit. They just wanted to make
right.
art, you know. And
I think they were kind of from art background, right?
yeah, well,
Did they go to,
they grew up a kind of bohemian.
and they went to some art school.
I don't know if they went to art school,
None of them.
but they're definitely artists, like just creative guys. They're always
Yeah.
painting and drawing,
It seemed
and
like the old scene
sculpting.
had a lot of those people.
Yeah, they're really into like Captain Beefheart and stuff, and like I think like when they didn't even know what they were playing was going to be called punk rock, they were just playing this like crazy shit that
Right.
it was fun for them.
Right,
you know?
right. That's what the old scene seemed like to me.
Yeah, and I could really
But
relate.
you know what? They weren't as much teenagers. The hardcore was kind of younger people.
Right? Yeah. I became like that scene, like the hardcore scene, like there were things that I liked, things I didn't like, but I really kind of bonded
too.
more with like the artistic elements, like the Denny's and like Tomato de Plenty and
Yeah,
KK
right.
and all those guys. Like I could relate to them more. Like it just, they weren't like hung up in fitting into a bunch of rules. You know, they were just like into making art. You know, and
And kind of blowing minds.
yeah,
Tomato for sure.
yeah,
Very kind of provocative.
yeah. You know, I gotta pee really bad. I'll be right back. Sorry. It takes me a second. Sometimes it comes on strong. Kids and stuff from suburbia. The thing, I got I got the GI record, and that record really changed my life. Like literally, that's probably the most pivotal record musically in my life. Even though I don't know if I can say that for sure, but it just changed the way, not the way I play so much, or my idea of what music was. Because I loved that record so much, and I would just like lay there every night in the headphones, reading a lyric sheet. You know, the inner sleeve.
It tripped me out because that record was a mind blow because I had seen him play so many times. And it was kind of hard to know that that's what was going on.
Right.
He hardly sang in the mic and stuff.
Right.
They'd have 10 minutes between songs.
Yeah.
They got practicing for that. Actually, really good gigs came right when they were doing that. Because they
Right.
practiced up. But when I heard the thing, it was a trip, man.
Yeah.
It was really like what I thought to myself is these guys made their own music. I could kind of tell by the gigs.
Right.
The album was like, wow.
That album, man, it's such a great album.
It was really a trip. And then I never saw them again the same.
Mm.
You know, I heard the No God thing with Mickey B.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like that album. There's something about that album. All those songs just freight train.
One after the other, and like the lyrics are so poetic and exciting, and the music, the arrangements, the playing.
Yeah.
But more than that, it's like the feeling of it.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
changed.
a trip. Every time I saw them after I heard that album, it was much different.
Yeah.
But I really liked them before that in a way. And not as a joke. I really thought they were a band that,
Right.
you know, they were cats you could talk. Did you ever get to talk with them? I mean, they would.
Pat, I'm
talk
friends
to
with
them.
Pat. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, but in those days.
No, I never.
I'm from Pedro. I didn't know any of these
Yeah,
guys,
yeah.
but you could rap with them.
Right.
And I would like talk to him about, you know, if you guys just like put one song after the other, man, you could like get some momentum. You know, I didn't know that part of their thing was like to like talk about fucking with old rock and roll. They were like against all the.
Right.
They had been to plenty arena. In fact, I remember asking him his favorite band. He said it was Queen.
Right.
I was like,
Pat or Darby?
Pat.
Right.
I guess Darby liked him too and stuff.
Yeah.
But, I was just so naive. I didn't know how the punk thing was just so trippy and crazy against arena rock ideas. I liked it. I liked it.
It just seemed to me like perfect music. Like that GI record.
Scene too, man. I was around people that Raymond with Coltrane, and just so many doors open to me. It's hard to tell people because they saw it as such a narrow thing, or like that thing, that experience with the
Black Flag show. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that shit. I didn't dig that.
I didn't like that.
I didn't dig that.
I still don't like that. Like,
no, I never.
Because I had short hair just because I liked short hair, but I could have had long hair easily, and it could have been me, you know.
Bullshit.
Yeah, bullshit. But I just I would listen to that record, and it just the feeling of it was so powerful, with this, punk rock music, and it up until that point, I had put all of my well, not to say all of it, but most of my excitement in music was the quality of the musicianship. For what I saw, I was like, well, these guys really play well together. They can play really well. They have interesting ideas. And all that stuff was there, but in this real kind of simple way. You know what I mean? But it was just so powerful. It floored me as much as when I listened to Louis Armstrong when I was a kid.
Yeah, yeah.
That same way. And I was just
emotional impact.
Yeah, just all of a sudden I had this thing. It doesn't matter what I play. If I play it with every fucking fiber of my being, it's going to mean something important. Because that's who I am. And that's my nervous system, my soul, my psyche, whatever it is. It's going to mean something. And after that, it was just I just felt like I couldn't fail. No matter what I do, I'm going to put all my heart into it, and it's going to be good. I just felt like I'm going to do the Chili Peppers, and I had that, started with Chili Peppers and had that attitude. I just didn't give a fuck. Right. Before that, I cared so much. I wanted to be good. I wanted to we got to, it's all got to be perfect. And after then, I just it freed me completely from all these constraints of having to live up to something.
Change your idea of it.
Yeah, and just
even though you had been doing it a long time.
Yeah.
From the school band and everything.
Yeah.
Maybe made more personal for you.
It made it more personal. It made me feel like it wasn't like some magic trick of having to be famous or having to be some genius musician or having to be anything. I just had to be myself. And that myself, the Germs taught me that just being myself and doing what I do was as valuable as anything else, and that's what I'm going to be.
Do you see music going someplace, or does it seem to come in cycles? Like you just checked out a new music on another continent.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff very traditional and stuff. So what's new is you hearing it.
Yeah.
And so maybe rediscovery is a big part of it. Maybe music isn't just moving in some
Yeah, no, it's discovering things and being touched by things, no matter what it is.
It could have came from a long time.
Yeah, going to Ethiopia, those three ladies that were the first thing, they're playing this music. It's 1,000 years old.
Yeah.
Older. Old, ancient Ethiopian stuff. That's where the first people come from, Lucy, Right. They found the oldest bones there.
Right, Lucy.
And it's just that feeling of hearing something. When I saw those three ladies sing, it was no distractions. As a musician, I don't know if you think about it like this, but for me, when I'm playing gigs or doing anything when I'm playing, it's always the thing that I'm wrestling with and the thing that I'm reaching for is that place of no mind. You know what I mean? Of no thought, no thinking, what am I going to play next? Nothing, just being a vehicle for this thing to flood through me.
I have the fear of the joke.
Right. Well,
they call it red light fever, especially when you're being recorded.
Oh, right.
If you could just get that out of your mind, you play so much better.
Well, that's the thing, is because you're thinking about all the fear and the thoughts is what is the end product going to be? Yeah. What are the means to the end? Yeah. You know what I mean? What is it? You're always playing to get something, to get a good recording or to do a good gig or to gain something in some way, to be proud of this thing that you created. Instead of I saw these ladies. They didn't give a shit about anything. Yeah. And that's just how it is for them. All those distractions and all those things that I'm always wrestling with didn't exist for them. Yeah. Because they're just playing this music because they love it, because it's what they grew up with and it's what they do. Yeah, and they got together and it's so relaxed and so beautiful, so pure, man. And that's for me, seeing that, and that's just this, 1,000-year-old music, that's inspiring because that's what I'm reaching for, And that's for me, the thing like the Germs, at their best. They're just playing their shit, being their friends, and playing what they played. And that's, when you're great, that's what it is. I know, for the Chili Peppers, when we're at our best, happens once in a while, it's that, we're jamming or improvising or playing a song or whatever, but there's no goal. We're not trying to entertain anyone. We're not trying to do anything, but we are entertaining them by just touching, the divine source of where it comes from, because that's what that is. Yeah. When you get all those distractions out of the way, you're just
right.
It's like breathing.
More closer to the nature of it.
Yeah.
And instead of ideas.
Yeah.
But ideas are important, right?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Composing.
Of course, and you react against things that you hear and see, and you want to like take something and move it and make it your own, and you know.
I can see that. A lot of times, this fear of choking.
Yeah.
I cannot get over that shit.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, I
no, me personally, I don't know why I get hung up on that shit, because it actually makes you choke.
Yeah, oh, totally. I get that sometimes, you know. I get that for sure. Or I just get, I get self-conscious, or,
That's what it is, self-conscious.
Yeah, they don't like playing with me, so when I'm jamming with her, I'm not doing good, or,
I'm stinking it out.
It was cool, like, last year I played with Ornette. I don't know if I told you I was playing with Ornette.
Yeah, in England. Right?
Yeah, and he, man, I was so scared for months. Like, I knew, 2 months before I was going to do it, and I was terrified. I practiced all day long. He sent me a CD. All I did was work, and I got there, and it was like he didn't give a shit about anything. Like, he's so open. He was just like, be free, make it sound. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't care about anything. And it was like, that was a real lesson too, Not that the practice wasn't good, but like the fear and the worrying about the result of it. You know what I mean?
I know.
Because he'll just play anything. He doesn't care.
I know. But you got so much respect for the man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I want to okay, this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience to play with my heroes,
Right.
But,
lighten up.
yeah, no, totally. He was just like, don't, do whatever. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Yeah.
That was a great lesson.
It really was a great lesson, I mean, yeah.
And how old? He's
late
old. 70s or early 80s?
I think late 70s. And playing great and dresses real sharp. And
kind of loud.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just sharp, not always loud. I think in the 80s he went for those really... Was that in the 80s?
Yeah. But I thought when I took it...
Yeah.
Maybe not for a while, but it was neat. I had big respect. And he carries himself without big front ego.
Yeah.
Manner.
Yeah.
I was very impressed.
Yeah, he was saying to me, why would you ever want to play the same music over and over? He goes, the only reason is money and pussy. That's what he told me. That was Ornette's quote.
He was trying something, putting out his own record or something. Yeah. He, Caravan of Dreams and stuff when he started in Fort Worth. He was... Mm-hmm. He's kind of a self-motivated cat. He really took some chances. If you read the Miles autobiography, he talks about Ornette.
I haven't. I can't remember that part.
It's Belidge.
Miles didn't like him?
Like Tony was the young man who knew what
was going
on. So Tony's bringing Miles up. Ornette.
Yeah. He didn't like him.
Archie Sherry got on a lot of those, quote, free guys.
Yeah.
But then I think they had their effect on Miles.
For
he
sure.
started, getting in that direction.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, but in terms of my musical journey, it's always been I talk about not towing a line with punk rock or with anything ever. For me, the thing that I've always tried to stay true to is just doing what I like and playing what I like, and I've been really lucky to be able to make a good living doing it, and just have to be a musician, and it's what I always wanted to be, and. I think that everybody has musical talent. I think anyone who wants to be a musician can be a musician. I really do.
Yeah, the school.
Yeah, that's what I was saying before. Every kid.
When did you first think of this school?
Oh, the idea to start the school.
Yeah.
I first thought of it. I can't remember what first I thought, because I have a friend who's a music teacher, and my friend Keith Barry, and I'd thought about I just really just kind of for him that it'd be nice for him to have a good place to teach, because he was, not that he didn't, he taught in a school down in, I think Montclair, one of those places, Claremont or something. But a couple of things happened. I was at a basketball on tour. I went to see a Knicks game in New York, and I'm sitting next to this woman, and she starts telling me she's the music teacher at Fairfax High School in Los Angeles. My alma mater.
At Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, and we're just sitting watching the Knicks game, and I was like, whoa, really? I went to Fairfax, and da-da-da-da, and she's like, yeah, I know who you are. She goes, I'd be really great if you could come down and speak to the kids one day about about a career in music. And it's like, I was like, great, no problem. So when I went to Fairfax High, they had big orchestra, a marching band, a jazz band. They put on big musical productions. It was great. And it was such a fun thing for me. And like I said before, it was really like the thing I had to hold on to.
Right.
A discipline, friends, social world, everything, so she says, come down, and I go down there, and it's like, I go to Fairfax High, and it's an empty shell. The music department, when I went there, when I graduated in 1980, they passed Proposition 13, Reaganomics, and they cut out all the funding for the arts programs, Proposition 13. And I went in there, and where it used to be, when I went there, you could take any instrument you wanted. I want to play the clarinet. No, not the violin. I want to play the clarinet and violin. Whatever you wanted, they'd give you an instrument and teach you how to play it, and you play it in a group. I mean, what amazing. What it should be. And I went there, and it was all gone. All the instruments were gone. The music department, the rooms were empty. They had a volunteer teacher, like a couple of acoustic guitars, fucked up acoustic guitars, and some kids who wanted to know.
Program was gutted.
It was gone, and it was really like heartbreaking to me because that place that I remember being so alive and music coming out of every room, there was like nothing there, and it was really, and I played for the kids. I went down there with Willie Waldman and Perkins, and we played and talked to the kids and stuff, and the kids were all excited that Willie played with Snoop. That was the big hit of the day. But after that, we that really got it in my head. I should start a music school. I really should do this because these kids don't have an opportunity.
At the public school.
And that really in my head. And then the final straw was about a year after that. I went to. I was like kind of like depressed about something, so I went down to Mexico, and I got this book by Horace Tapscott.
Yeah.
And
Raymond's seen him a bunch.
Yeah, he wrote this book called Songs of the Unsung, and it's his biography. And it's
the Watts Festival.
And it was a really great book, and it talks about like how he started off his jazz career, and he was doing really well. He was like touring, playing with different people, getting signed, making his own records, but he felt really drawn to make a community center and a school for kids in L.A. And he started this music school in Los Angeles, in South Central, and Billy Higgins got involved, and I'm spacing on the name of the place right now, but he started this music school. They did gigs. They started orchestra. Kids, they have formed an orchestra. When the kids got good enough, they joined the orchestra. They did gigs at Limerick Park, World Stage. And it went on for years and years. And he really believed in it. And it wasn't just his place wasn't just a music place. It was also dance and poetry and cultural center. But it was a place where kids could go and learn music. And I was like, that's it. If I don't do this, I had this idea. I'm doing it. And I went home right away, and I just was like. Called my friend Tree, got Pete Weiss, helped me. I was like, let's get a place. I'm paying for it. We get a place. We build it. We make it a music school. We hire the teachers. We do it. I'm doing it no matter what.
It's the youngest student.
The youngest, well, my daughter's taking violin. She's 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oldest
student?
There's old people in there, like old.
Wow.
Yeah, senior citizens.
So it's not just kids.
It's for anyone.
Okay.
Yeah, it's mostly, I'd say.
How many students? 700?
There's 700 going in there each week. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and we use there's a magnet school called Camino Nuevo nearby that we use for group classes because we don't have a big space.
Yeah.
For our group classes, and in exchange our teachers teach their school, and then we use the Barnsdall Theater. Lets us use their theater for recitals, and it's just.
What about the teacher thing? Is that hard?
The
teacher
It's to be one or to get them.
No, for you, like.
Oh well, it's been like when I've taught
you started
sporadically.
with that cat, the Claremont guy, right?
Yeah. He's the dean, and he's still the dean of the school.
The dean.
And he had been like teaching music for a long time, and so he knew a lot of teachers and stuff to start with. And as time has gone by, we kind of fleshed him out and got a choice group of teachers. Teaching, it's great, man. I've only done it I did 2 6-month stretches because I didn't want to. We don't have to have time to really do it, because we don't want teachers that are going to teach and then disappear. Right. You know what I mean? It's really important for continuity with the kids.
Right.
But it's really good, having a relationship with a kid.
But you picking teachers, is that kind of tough?
Oh well, I don't. He does the picking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
And he's kind of a hard ass about it. So I would.
But it's probably not just technical; it's some kind of people skills. Huh?
No, it is for sure. It is for sure. It's
not about just reading rules and instructions.
There's different types of teachers. Yeah. Some are more like real strict and academic. Some are more like Lonnie Marshall. He's a bass teacher there, and he's more kind of like learning to play along to records and stuff like that. Teachers have different things. We try to keep it as academic as we can.
Sure.
Because we don't want.
It's still about reaching the kid.
Yeah, reaching the kid. It's about reaching the kid, and different teachers have different ways. Right. But we definitely want our school to be about technique and fundamentals and learning how to play an instrument, not at all about aesthetic. Like if you want to be a rock musician, be a rock musician. You want to be a classical musician, whatever you want to do, go do it.
Music's music.
Music's music, but we're teaching, academics and fundamentals and technique and reading music and theory and like that. So we just don't want to be about, sometimes people get that think, Flea school, it's going to be like rock star camp or something. and it's like nothing to do with any of that. It's just been great, and it's like, we're coming up on our 10th year, and it's just really flourishing, It's like, it's this other thing, like having a good idea and going and doing it, and it really was a lesson for me. You can do stuff, actually started it and did it, and here we are 10 years later.
Using that same method. To give back, you saw that situation.
Yeah, no, I just saw,
down.
Yeah, and was inspired by people doing something really great, like what Horace Tapscott did.
You know what? It was good enough for me, and I don't need it. It's like, no, there's still debt, there's still need.
Yeah. But no, totally. And I feel like the arts, actually Keith or Tree, my friend, I call him Tree. Yeah. He came up with this kind of his little slogan, which was you talk about the 3 R's in school. Where he proposes the 3 A's, which are arts, academics, and athletics, all being of equal value. And it's really like not having arts in school. It's so fucked up, man. It's like child abuse. It's just like it's so important. You're gonna have a bunch of kids grow up as ignoramuses with no.
And the music only used to sell a candy bar.
Music just to sell, and this is stuff that gets forced down their throat on the radio, and what's cool, and American Idol, and all this corporate bullshit.
Thanks for teaching us about Ethiopia. So
that was righteous.
Okay?
Yeah.
And these ideas are great. And I want to thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be
great having you.
Yeah.
Brother Matt, thank you.
Cool.
Aiding and abetting, always. It's February 21st, 2010, Watt from Pedro show. Thank you again, Flea.
Thank you.
Keep your powder dry.